Mayor Crombie.
Thank you very much. Following Paul reminds me that following a planner is always helpful. I had 2 points, and Paul mentioned both of them. So let me underline and underscore what Paul really meant to say. The reason that I am opposing this application to expand the airport is that it repudiates a fundamental principle that has animated all of the good planning and development on the waterfront in the past number of years. And that principle is that it's to be multi-use, and it's to be in balance, and no use should dominate. It may sound like it's 30,000 feet in the air to put a principle out like that, but that's what the work that Paul and others had done over the years to make sure that as the waterfront developed, that principle was at its center, that there should be a balance, no use should dominate. The proposal to expand to 4,800,000 passenger loads a year is a doubling of the current use, And as Paul mentioned, it just exceeds the amount of passenger load in the international airport in Ottawa. Now, that is why, and by the way, the international airport in Ottawa is the 6th largest airport in the country. That is why this proposal does not in any way, shape, or form accord with the principles of the Central Waterfront Secondary Plan that everybody works so hard to not only build, but to implement. And secondly, it is the reason why it is not supported by Waterfront Toronto, who are charged with implementing that plan. The second point, touched on by Paul as well, is that much of the discussion you hear, read, and so on, is about Porter. This is not, in my judgment, about Porter. This is about the waterfront. And it's important to understand that. I'm going to say something nice about Porter, and I don't want to offend anybody here. I mean that because I think it is important. There are people who like Porter. It's convenient. It's a niche airline that people use. And believe me, there are people at City Hall, elected to council, whose constituents tell them that. So when it comes to turning their heads about where they should vote, it is important we understand that Porter is not the enemy. To me, it isn't. The enemy, of course, is the assumption that we can now move forward in a way that is going to offend that principle. And it's clear to me that now we are going to have an opportunity to not have to deal with Porter. But let's ask yourself a question. Let's suppose in the application was made not by Porter, but by Air Canada, or by WestJet, or both. That would change the minds of people because it's not that little airport that grew anymore. It is now clearly an international airport with international carriers operating an airport the same size as the one in Ottawa. And that's why you should understand, and the way we should see it, is that this is about an international airport on the waterfront. Air Canada and WestJet have made no secret of the fact that they will be there. In fact, their competitive needs will drive them there as Porter proceeds. So that's why. Former mayor was right, Paul's right, Jack will be right. There is no common sense to it. There is an ambition, and it's a laudable ambition by an entrepreneur, but we're not talking about the just desserts of an entrepreneur. We're talking about the quality of life in this city on its waterfront, and it's up to us to make sure that this proposal does not succeed.